Infinite Creator, ubiquitous, unending energy, always in gratitude and ever in awe. However massive this is to the mind, and however small we feel, we recognize we are a significant part of all of this. There's a great appreciation for our being here in this time of transition, being witness to the turning of our worldwide and interplanetary family, and doing our part in alchemizing the material and the spiritual. To do this, our tasks continue focused on creator energy and heart-centered. So let us keep our connection to our higher self in mind while we conduct our divinely inspired actions. And we ask for your continued grace in all that we do. Let it be so, and so it is.
Thank you, Charlie. My name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. I'm going to read this so that we get across what we need to get across without leaving anything out. Speaking extemporaneously, that can happen. So, from the script, all power is inherent in the people. That's me and you. It's up to the good and righteous people versus the bad and evil persons. That's where it is right now. As of July 2022, a grand jury from our jury pool of men and women on Oregon has brought forth presentments from all 5 grand jury hearings. One of the most recent against Oregon Health Authority, their top 46 persons. In 2021, a grand jury and trial jury consisting of Oregonians, those non US citizen men and women, sovereigns without ruler or subject, from our jury pool brought forth 93 presentments to 38 prosecutors with 3 true bills from our Article 3, Amendment 7 Civilian Court of Record that provided guilty verdicts against evildoers Kate Brown, Ron Wyden, Jeff Merkley, Suzanne Bonamici, and 89 legislators. When we implemented and tried our governor, 2 senators, 1 House representative, and all but one of the Oregon legislators at different trials, we found them all to be guilty as oath breakers, without honor, and may not hold a position of trust, and guilty of due process violations, 18 U.S.C. 3571, at $250K an incident. Mike Neerman is the exception. We are waiting for 38 de facto prosecutors to do their job, post our trial and convictions for these bad actors. We are the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. We meet on Skype most Mondays at 7 p.m. First Monday of the month, we Zoom. You will be notified. Our function is to return Oregon to a constitutional Republican form of government through a de jure grand jury process this year, 2022. The following is a few-minute read. Then there are some documents. Oh, wait a minute. Then there are some attachments. We are always seeking more grand jury, trial jury members for the jury pool. And we're also seeking companies, boards of directors, their meetings, their staff, if invited, on or off premise, clubs and associations, face to face within 100 miles of Portland, Zoom and Skype after that. You can contact us at www.orsja.org. We'll make the arrangements. Briefly, we are in a malevolent, predatory form of martial law from DC, the United States Incorporated, a governance in color of law, de facto in some form since March 1861. It's the Lieber Code from Lincoln's Executive Order 100 in color of law. We had a constitutional Republican form of government from 1819 to 1860 or 61. From 1776 to 1819, it was changing from an overthrown monarchy. Most of the people from 1776 until 1819, the people at large, were not convinced for a long time. There really is an active conspiracy. The industrial, military, judicial, legislative, executive, banker, bar, royalist, Nazi, communist, Catholic, Muslim, Khazarian complex. They did away with the Georgia Guidestones. That was a good move. This does not involve the true constitutional Republican form of government of each of the several states. As long as there are still people, that is, the flesh, blood, soul, body, mind, spirit, as juxtaposed to persons, the all cap name, a corporate fiction. All power is inherent in the people. Rather than being a de facto subdivision of the U.S. Inc., each state is an autonomous nation, each with its own constitution. All power is inherent in the people. The number of people is not specified, and a majority is not required as we are not a democracy. Several states of the Union are creator party to the United States of America's Constitution and the United States. I wonder if everybody gets that. The people at large are beneficiaries of that contract. The people at large are the creator party of their state's constitution. On Oregon, that is Article 1, Section 1. I'll read that in a little bit. The state of Oregon's incorporated governance in color of law, Article 7 amended and original, November 8, 1910. It is operated by the Salem oligarchy, aka Kate Brown et al., which is a subdivision of the DC United States, as originally incorporated in Lincoln's era. Government is not incorporated. We think each state 33 or territory 17 of the other 49 is about the same. A little more carrot or a little more stick. Florida never masked up, and Oregon wants to mask everybody, including the kids, all the time, every day. There is some difference in the states. To remove the Lieber Code martial law FEMA, the method is clear and written down by the de facto. The Lieber Code of Lincoln's Executive Order 100 is nullified by a civilian court on the land. So says SCOTUS in Ex parte Milligan. There are none, zero civilian courts on the land of Oregon until ours. I was told there was one in Texas, one in Philadelphia, and one on Georgia. I've been unable to prove that. I do know there is no Article 3 court that will claim original jurisdiction from the de facto. For a definition, see Mukini 303. You can just key that in on DuckDuckGo. They have acquiesced. So we, the people, must do it ourselves. No one can do it for us, and we cannot do it alone. The Army Heritage Center, 717-245-3972 or 3949, in 2021 verified the Lieber Code was updated and still in effect in 2015. No known changes since then. The Judge Advocate General Attorney for the Oregon National Guard, acronym JAG, knew exactly what I was talking about. A method of returning Oregon to a constitutional republic form of government was or is: we assemble our First Amendment Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly 4 years ago. We notified the DOJ, the U.S. Marshal Service, the FBI, the U.S. Marine Corps, 36 sheriffs, 30 senators, the AG, the governor, secretary of state lawfully, and none of them rebutted our claim. They all acquiesced and defaulted. We have proven our claims. Go to our website, orsja.org. We then formed an Article 1, Section 1 of Oregon's Constitution and formed all the same ones. We formed a civilian court of record and informed all the same ones. Through ex parte Milligan's authority, we nullified Lieber Code martial law and FEMA, not one rebuttal. We informed the Oregon National Guard, the organized militias JAG, and they were not happy. And they talked back and they hung up. We are waiting for an appointment with their commanding general. So then we formed our own Second Amendment well regulated militia on Oregon, notified everybody, and there was no rebuttals. It stands. Ex parte Milligan 71 U.S. parentheses 4 wall 2 1866 was a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court that ruled the application of military tribunals to citizens when a civilian court is still operating is unconstitutional. You have to understand that to do it. And we understood it and did it. There's no backfire. The Lieber Code was prepared by Francis Lieber and promulgated as General Order 100 by Lincoln, 24 April 1863. Instructions for the Government of Armies of the United States in the Field, prepared by Francis Lieber, LLD. Originally issued as General Order 100. Printed Washington, 1898 by the Government Printing Office. Article 1, Section 1 of Oregon's Constitution. Natural rights inherent in the people. We declare that all men, when they form a social compact, are equal in right, that all power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness, and they have at all times a right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such manner as they may think proper. And Oregon's revised statute 79.0307.8, the United States is located in Washington, District of Columbia. So, we're looking at taking back Oregon from the evildoers in Salem, Kate Brown et al. They lost when they murdered Lavoie. You cannot maintain the fraud after doing that. Fraud vitiates all contracts, either completely or partially. So what has to be done on Oregon is we go back to November 8th, 1910, and we clean up the fraud. Everybody, legislative, judicial, and executive, sheriffs and cops, have all taken an oath to a bogus constitution since November 8th, 1910. If you take an oath to a bogus document, you have no standing to enforce the real document. And so they don't. They act in color of law, and they know they're doing it, and they continue to do it. We've spoken to several sheriffs. They claim they don't know. They claim that what we're saying is too difficult for them to understand. And there's no way they could repeat all of this to their staff and have the deputies understand it. What kind of people are we hiring in the sheriff's department that they can't understand English when it's read to them? We know what we're doing. We're returning to a constitutional Republican form of government this year, and we have it perfectly clear. If you take an oath to the Constitution that has Article 7 amended and Article 7 original in that Constitution post 1910, you're taking a bogus oath, and we know it. So if you do it, you have no honor and you cannot hold a position of trust. We will remove you. So there it is. This election, this year, this November, we will remove Article 7 amended and Article 7 original that were placed in the Oregon Constitution unlawfully and started the color of law, incorporated governance, a subdivision of the United States, and has provided us with a benevolent form of martial law for many years, and it has turned malevolent. If you folks could find your way clear to spread this information, to join us, to ask us to speak to your groups, we can get this done easily. Everybody has to do it for themselves. Nobody can do it for you. And we can't do it alone. And I yield. This one is titled Baileys, Bailee, a Bailee. And we're putting out a notice to the United States Incorporated Color of Law entity that says they own the Marco Hatfield Federal Building on Portland, but it's sitting on Oregon land, and they never fulfilled the constitutional requirement of getting permission from the Oregon legislature to buy the land and to build the building. It's all bogus, just like everything else they do. So we want to know who's in charge of that building, because we're taking it back. Then we're going to do the same thing with the Oregon Archives, the Oregon State House, the Oregon Health Authority, and the Oregon State Police Building. And we're delivering this information to Cheryl Myers, Deputy Secretary of State for Oregon. The Oregon Secretary of State, Shemaiah Fagan, was found guilty of treason, so we can't deal with her anymore. And then we're dealing with Dave Mary from the United States Journal Services Administration regarding the Marco Hatfield building. We live in a world of contracts. Everything is a contract. Eventually, it becomes involved and complex, such as the subdivision of the United States, Inc., known as the State of Oregon, aka all caps State of Oregon, and sometimes named the Kate Brown Salem Oligarchy. Legally and lawfully, there is a lot of real property involved. When you look at a map, most of the state of Oregon is supposedly owned by the United States. How can that be? Oregon became a state and the United States lost all authority over all the land. They do it because it's a bogus color of law incorporated governance. So, when you have real property, you come up against bailment and bailee from the from Black's Law Dictionary. I use number 6, page 141. Page 141. Bailment. A delivery of goods or personal property by one person, a bailor, to another, a bailee, in trust for the execution of a special object upon or in relation to such goods beneficial either to the bailee or the bailor or both, and upon a contract express or implied to perform the trust and carry out such objects, and thereupon either redeliver the goods to the bailee or otherwise dispose in the same conformatory manner as the purpose of the trust. It goes on quite a bit about bailment, but let's get back to bailee. In the law of contracts, everything's a contract. One to whom goods are bailed, one to whom goods are entrusted by a bailor, the party to whom personal property is delivered under a contract of bailment, a species of agent to whom something movable is committed in trust for another. See Smith v. State, Oklahoma. A person who by warehouse receipt, bill of lading, or other documents of title acknowledges possession of goods and contracts to deliver to them. The transferee of goods under a bailment, including a warehouse or a carrier. Somebody's got to be in charge. Somebody has to actually be in charge of the physical property. Okay, there must be an actual living person. Escrow, the sale and barter of real property, is an example. How do you change ownership of property? We do it through escrow. I think that's how it's done for property. As this involves the Sestacute Trust and the birth certificate fraud, this is only for comparison. What is some kind of legal, dark incorporated de facto governance thing is occurring? Something big is definitely occurring. All state and federal buildings locked up, fences around them, boarded up. What kind of stuff is that? Something's going on. A contract clause that needs to be done. Maybe in the closing of all the buildings, they fulfill some kind of a bankruptcy clause, some kind of legal, unlawful skullduggery. Do you remember when Donald John Trump trooped the guards in Buckingham Palace? A big deal. Drove up in the car with his bride, and the Queen followed him through trooping the guard or inspecting the guard. That's a big deal. It was never explained why they did it, but it was to fulfill something. Or like when Congress closed and never properly reopened, March 1861, causing color of law from all that time. A thing is occurring, and this includes all of the closed buildings. Conclusion: we need to serve our paper to whatever bogus de facto entity has or had possession of the paperwork for these 5 properties. They are the Marco Hatfield Federal Building in Portland, the Oregon Archives, the Oregon State House, the Oregon Health Authority, and the Oregon State Police Building. All 5 of them, of these buildings, refuse to identify themselves. They won't communicate. So we say they must prove their bona fides with the lawful bailee. Not over the phone. You're not working from home. Stand your ground. Provide your bailee. You must do it. If they can't, This is from the people on Oregon, represented by Article 1, Section 1, aka the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly, the de jure provisional government on Oregon. That's a new thought. Our claim: there is no lawful Oregon government, and the de facto color of law state of Oregon, aka all cap state of Oregon, is an unconstitutional subdivision of the United States, Inc. in some form, and as such, the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly, aka Article 1, Section 1, will assume title, deed, plant, and keys to these buildings from the title company lawfully involved. They'll have 7, 14, and 21 days to rebut this claim, or we'll go through with a foreclosure, an eviction, or quiet title. The title and deed need correction from who or whatever entity or entities has the keys, keeps the record, pays the utilities, and is in a responsible position and conferred to the people upon proper bailee appears. The real body, mind, spirit, flesh, blood, soul people are involved in this. Therefore, a claim of cognizance from our civilian court of record, grand jury, and Article 3, Amendment 7 civilian court claims original jurisdiction. So, what does that mean? That means that the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly, in its lawful capacity, is seeking title deed, plant, and keys to those 5 buildings. We're going to open, I've already looked into it and it's getting close. We're going to open escrow at one of the title companies and notify everybody what we're doing and proceed with the legal quiet title. If they can't prove, then we will take it, and they can't prove it. And I yield.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. And then he jumps out of the car. And he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, just shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times.